Hey guys, Andy back for the second video of the day, Treat You. So this is coming off the back of my experiences with the game. I've played FIFA since FIFA International Soccer on the Mega Drive way back in sort of 1990, 1991 time. I've played for all the iterations, you know, I had it on Mega Drive, Sega Saturn, I've played it on sort of Amigas and things, PCs, PlayStations, all the way up to current gen. I've got it on Series, I've got the Xbox One version, the Series X version. I'm probably going to go to PlayStation next year, PlayStation 5. Now I've got the console. So I've played it for many years. First and foremost, I'm a gamer. I love gaming. Gaming is something that I've done since I was this big, and I can remember, you know, some of you watching this probably won't even remember, but playing in games, you know, on in arcades, Operation Wolf, Super Thunderblade, Afterburner. You know, I've had every console. I think my first sort of home gaming system was a Spectrum 48K ZX Sinclair, where you had a rubber keyboard and a big tape deck, and you put cassettes in. Some of you might not even know what a cassette tape is. And then you had to sort of track it, and then put like a 84-year command in to get a game, and then it'd load for 7 hours, and then it'd go syntax error dead, and yeah, that were it, you were gone. We've gone through the NES after that, then I think Mega Drive. For a while we had sort of variants of Amigas in there. Sega Saturn, PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Xbox 3, and then the 360. We've had all the Elite variants of that. We've had Wii's, we've had Switches, we've had GameCubes, we've had handhelds, we've had pretty much everything. So I'm a gamer. I love gaming. I take games for what they are. No game is perfect, apart from Final Fantasy VII and Ocarina of Time. With sports games, I've played everything, again, from, I think, World Cup Italia 90 was my first owned game on the Mega Drive. I've played Sensible Soccer, I've played all the FIFAs, I've played Pro Evo, I've played ISS. Dino Danini Soccer, Red Card Soccer, all these football games over the years, as well as other sports games, boxing, American football, ice hockey, all sorts. We've gone from being sort of single player to having your mates being round, sort of couching against each other. Back when I was sort of like 7, 8 in the summer as it is now, and the 6 weeks holidays, I remember one of the guys used to bring his TV out. One of the dads, and we'd all come round and we'd pick a team and we'd have tournaments, and there'd be about 20 kids around, and we'd all, you know, have drinks and a barbecue, and, you know, we'd play Sensible Soccer or FIFA when that came out. You know, we'd have a live league with each other. It was brilliant. We've gone from that into the online world. I've gone from just playing FIFA in career mode and manager mode. I'm a big football fan as well. And then we got Ultimate Team come out. I weren't a fan at first. I weren't that interested. I liked the idea, but I weren't that keen. I thought I was sort of a god at FIFA, and then you soon find out how quickly you're not when you play people online. And then from there, I only play Ultimate Team now. I don't play. I think I'm by no means a god at FIFA still. I can hold my own. And I'll sort of tell you where I am with FIFA and what we play for now. Now, Ultimate Team has become addicting. I love it. I love to build my Ultimate Team, and then what I do at the end of the year, especially this time of year now where cards just become abundant, is I like to build past and present teams, and I have my main team that's good enough for me. I'm good enough to use these players. I mean, obviously there's players that give you a slight edge. But the one thing that drains me with online is I spend a lot of time online, hence being, you know, here talking to you, is, you know, even on the headset or reading Reddit or watching YouTube videos, there's so much hate and toxicity, and then you have mob culture where one person says something and then the next person says something, the next person says something, and everybody jumps on board and, oh, it's hate and it's the worst game ever, and all the rest of it. And there's a massive misconception and mentality towards not just FIFA but other games, but this is about FIFA, so you'll notice it with FIFA if you've been online. I went out yesterday. Obviously I've seen all this hate for many years. I went out yesterday, my YouTube were playing in the background, and when I come back in there were a video from Inception again, and it would just crap on the game basically. He just did nothing. He was just going in on the game, and it was like, wow. Okay, so this video for me is basically what can we do to fix FIFA, what I think's gone wrong, and where the real problem is moving forward into FIFA 23 and then EA Sports Football as we go on. So I'm just going to bring a couple of web pages and we're going to sort of break it down. So EA, is FIFA a bad game? No, it's not. You might not like the game and you might not enjoy the game, but it doesn't make it a bad game. There are badly broken games out there, like Big Rigs Truckers and things like that. There are some truly woeful games out there. However, FIFA's not a bad game. It's got a bad crowd. Now, it's not perfect by any means, and there's things that drain me, and I'll go into them, and I'll try and break them down as I go as what needs to change to improve. But, I mean, you look on Reddit, and you go on every day, and you've got to try and catch it quick because they do get deleted a lot. But it's just negative packing a big player is actually better than playing the game. People moaning about quitters, defending's broken, people moan about the web app. You just go on and it's people crapping on it, people being AFK, it's glitching, it's laggy, it's the servers, rage quitting, and it's things. So first things first, let's just get into this mentality. So because there's a mob culture of the game, I just want to load this up as well for in a bit. Because of the mob culture of the game, with any game, so all this, let's just get address the elephant in the room first. People crapping on this game, and it's the worst game ever, and EA are scum and this and that. Okay. If you play Call of Duty or Battlefield or Rainbow Six or any first-person shooter, just whatever it may be, Splatoon, whatever, just pick a first-person shooter. How many times have you been in a party or played by yourself and screamed, "Oh, that's bullshit," or "Oh, he's cheating," or "He's a hacker," or "He's this," or that? If you've got younger kids, like I hear it from my little one all the time on Fortnite, "Oh, he's hacking, he's got an aimbot, he's got this, he's got that." It's never, "Oh, lucky guy, that guy, that guy was lucky. That guy's better than me. I made a mistake," or "I'm just not as good as I think I am." And that's a major problem in FIFA. There has to come a point where you realise you are not as good as you think you are. I used to brag at FIFA because I only played people in my family, and a lot of people in my family don't play video games, or if they do, it's very casual. So I could go on and I could smash them. Like, even a lot of my mates are into more RPGs and sort of adventure games and things, not really into sports. So when you do find that person who plays FIFA, you are instantly in your head better than him. I did it with my mate. I was like, right, come around then after work, and we had a couple of games. I think I was 5-0 up at half time, and then he was like, half time, he's like, "Right, you ready to play now?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Mate, you're done." And he come back and he absolutely battered me. I didn't see football. I didn't see the ball in the game. And it was like, wow, this guy's good. I've entered tournaments and I get so far, and then you think, wow, this guy's good. And my problem used to be as well, like, people moan about skill moves and 5-star weak foot, and obviously there's players out there that are such a high level of player. You look at anybody in the top 200 every week, all these pro players and that, they could probably school you with a bronze team. Doesn't matter about weak foot and stuff. They just know the game that much. So there's only a certain gap, and then when you are at the top level, that's where these little fractions of an advantage will come in. But you're not as good as them. I'm definitely not as good as them. I'm probably not as good as some of you guys that play. And there's always an excuse. You see it constantly on Reddit or these YouTubes. I remember watching an Inception video, and he was screaming at EA and all this, that, and the other, and he was like, "Oh, it's woeful, this gameplay's broken, and I'm lagging, and this, that, and other." Firstly, both of you are playing the same game. So when you're playing against somebody, you're both connected to the same point. Now, if you've got poor internet, and this is what I tried to, people go, "Well, I've got 500 gig internet." I've got 30, I think it's 35 meg or 40 meg internet at the minute. But prior to this, I had 500 meg internet. This connection's a lot more stable because of the latency and things like that, and the connection and packet loss on my other internet. Even though it was faster at downloading and things like that, and even with streaming, but when it came to playing FIFA, my connection was unstable. That was my fault. That's not EA's fault. That's It's not even really my fault, but it's my service provider, so I had to change my service provider. Now it is painful when I'm downloading games, but my connection is much more stable now, so I changed providers. So when I'm playing, sometimes you will connect somebody who's a million miles away, and the connections don't talk to each other. But that's on every game. When you get rubber banding in Mario Kart, Battlefield, or whatever game you're playing, you'll get that. That's not necessarily EA's fault, and you sometimes have to look at your own fault with connections. But going back to what I was mentioning, I remember he was running down the wing with a player. He passed the ball in. The player bundled the ball and it went away, and then I think the other guy capitalised and scored. And he's going, this is crap and all the rest of it. What he didn't consider, this player, was being passed by somebody who had like around 70 passing, so the pass wasn't going to be great anyway. The guy sprinting with his back to the ball, and I think his reactions were like, in the 80s. His agility was quite low, and he had like a 2 or 3 star weak foot, and he expected this player to sort of be, and he was getting pressed by 2 players as well, so he expected this player that were being passed by somebody who wasn't great anyway at full speed, belting down the wing with poor composure, agility, weak foot reactions, and a couple of other key stats on this player, and then tried doing something crazy with him, and he lost the ball. But that's EA's fault. That's not EA's fault. That's being entitled. So there's a lot of that in the game. So that's sort of the elephant in the room. Is sometimes, don't get me wrong, there are, like other day I was trying to score a goal, and it went at the crossbar, then it hit the post, and then the keeper did about 500 saves, and then they went down the pitch and scored, and my keeper just bundled it and it rolled in. That happens, but it also happens for you as well. The amount of times where I've just hit a ball and it's bounced off somebody's face and gone in or whatnot. So these things happen. Okay, so a lot of the problem with the game is the crowd, and because of the internet and the mob mentality and things, that's the issue. But what you've got to get as well is, like, you see it, people like saying about the mental health, and it makes them rage, and they've smashed the telly or they've thrown a controller and things like that. As somebody who deals with mental health issues anyway, myself, and also physical issues, but let's stick to the mental side, you've got to take yourself out of a situation. So this video on, like, again with Inception, I'm just picking one player, but he said, for years I've been telling you your game's trash and it's this and it's that, and the mental anguish and all this thing. And I'm like, okay, if that's the case, right, you got a little button here, say play on Xbox, hold that down, press that once, and then go down to quit game, and then go onto the game again, press this button, start, and then manage game, and then uninstall it. Because if that game is causing you that much pain and hate towards it and toxicity, and you're forcing yourself to play it, the problem is not with the game, it's with you. I don't enjoy Call of Duty. I'm not that great at it anymore. I can hold my own. I get spanked on it most of the time. I don't enjoy the gameplay. I don't enjoy all this jumping around and all the rest of it. So do you know what? I don't play it. I love Dead by Daylight. So do you know what? As playing as a survivor, I'm not so keen as playing as a killer. So you know what? I play survivor. And then I have good games, I have bad games. FIFA, I do love the game. It's got its problems, but I play to my ability. And if I lose, there'll be that one game where it's like, you're like, God damn, what more could I do? But that happens in real life as well, where you watch it, where somebody will dominate a team, and they just don't get it, and then one lucky goal. Being an Arsenal fan, I see it all the time. But you see that, and you just get on with it. You know what I mean? And I'll take the L and think, oh well. And then if enough's enough, I'll turn it off and I'll go play something else or watch a film or whatnot. Or I get my head down and I'll change what's going wrong for me. I used to be at a stage where I thought, best in world, and I didn't need weak foot and I didn't need skill moves and stuff. As soon as I accepted that I needed them things, my gameplay went from here to here, and I just improved massively. And it's same playing with meta players and things like that. I still try and keep players that I enjoy in real life, and not sweat. And I'll try and play football the best I can. But like every game now, people find the newest exploit in the game, and it's always been in FIFA. I remember playing, I think it was Sega Superstar Soccer. You on the lines on the pitch, once you got past the third line, you could hit shoot and it'd go in. On World Cup Italia 90, you could pass it to the corner of the flag and then knock it across goal. The penalties, you knew where the keeper was going to go every time. On FIFA's, it's been finesse shots from certain angle. We had the corner glitch, if you like. It's not a glitch, it's an exploit, but where you could like play it short, knock it across, and knock it to the back post. You've had low drivens before and things like that. So you've had the drag back in things. People exploit the game. That's not EA's fault as such. And when these exploits do get too much, they try and patch it, and like depower it. But then people look for the next thing. So that's not EA's fault, that's the crowd's fault. They're looking for the shortcut. People moan about squad battles and how many games you need. That's part of the game. If you want to play it, play it. If you don't. It's same with gold and things like that. Now, obviously, EA have catered to the masses and put gold and goal in. But before, people would rage at you and send you hate if you wanted to actually play a game of football or people had down tools and things like that. I've done it. I've messaged people and said, look, I only need a goal, take the win, but we can either sweat this out or just go and watch Netflix or whatever. But then I've been in a mood where I'm like, well, win or lose, I just want to play football. But that's me. I've paid my 60 quid for the game. You've paid your 60 quid. That's up to the individual, so you can't be angry for somebody. And again, that's not EA's fault. That's yours. And I'll tell you why the problem is the rewards. So we'll get into that. So that's the crowd, and you're probably going, but that's part of it. So let's get into the game and the issues that I have and what they need to do. So the first one's icons. Icons, I can remember when they were legends, things like that, were a massive part of the game, and they had like the icon traits or the hidden icon traits, if you like, and things like that. And everybody wanted an icon. I've gone years. I mean, I've packed them out of guaranteed icon packs and done swaps, but this year is the first time I've actually packed icons out of a normal pack. I've packed two. I've packed Cannavaro twice, and I packed Kluivert. So not great icons. Cannavaro were good for a time. I ended up selling him, and then I pulled him untradeable out of a pack, and Kluivert went into an SBC. But, I've pulled them. Now, I do agree that icons are... See, one thing that people don't accept with icons is they're not meant to be these overpowered cards. Now, some of these are the greatest players that have ever existed, especially look at Zidane, Henry, Ronaldo, Pele, Puskás. These were great players of the time, but some of them weren't. They're icons of the game, but they weren't amazing when you look at them in real life. So they're more of a time machine. So when people hear about the Arsenal Invincibles, they want to play as them players. When, you got the class of 96 Man United players, you've got, things like that, World Cup winners, Zidane headbutting people. Like, they're a time machine for the younger generation to play with the players that missed out, but also for people like me, the old generation. Like, I'm an Arsenal fan, I like building an Arsenal past and present team, so to have them in my squad, it's a time machine for me, and then to tell my kids about them and stuff. The problem is, though, is how this game works, and with stats, is you do have players that were prolific. Like Shearer, for example, he weren't a skiller. I mean, he could pull one out of his pocket and stuff, but he were an absolute banger of a goal scorer. But in this game, he's pretty... Unless you're playing against people at a really low level, or you're such a high level that you can use any player and it doesn't matter, for us in the middle, like Shearer becomes... He's not unusable, but he doesn't fit the meta of the game. And that's your problem. And you've got, 4 different types of icons. Now, icons used to be, like I said, people were like, oh, we can't get them, they're this, they're that, and the other, and, I've played the game 54 years and I've not pulled an icon. Now, icons are so common that people don't use icons anymore. And there's another reason we don't use icons, but you've cried for it, you've said you wanted them, now every week there is an icon player pick or a guaranteed pack or your swaps and this and that and the other. So icons now are just being thrown at you to the point where they are just fodder. They're that easy to get. Like the amount of R9s I've seen this year is just ridiculous. And Pele's, 99 Pele's and things, they're in everybody's team because they're just so common now, and that's what people wanted. But now we've got it, it's too much of a good thing. So I think they need to change icons. Now, to me, I would do one or two things. One of them is at the beginning of the game, you pick either your club, a nation, or whatever, and you get an icon. So you can pick any icon you want, and everybody's obviously going to go Ronaldo. But say if you wanted Henry or Ronaldo or whoever you wanted, through the year, you get objectives. So like when we've had the sort of... I think we had the Atal one year, we might have had a Dembele, we've had... Mendy over the years, where you get the upgrades to the cards. And I think what they should do, they should give you the loan base version. So you choose your icon, and you get them at a 3-game loan or whatever. Then you have a set of objectives to do, milestones. And these go on, and they're not easy ones, but they basically replicate what that player's done. So it's like, I don't know, say Ronaldinho example. So score X amount of goals with Brazil players, do skill moves, do this, whatever it is, and it's just a list. At the end of this list, you should get a token, and it should unlock an SBC once you've completed it. Now, that SBC, depending on the player, would change in value. So if it's R9, for example, is not so much his objectives, but his SBCs section is going to be a lot more than what, say, I don't know, Sol Campbell's going to be. Then once you've completed this section, it might be it's not going to be one. It's not going to be 189 rated squad. It might be 489 rated squads for a Ronaldo or whatever, but all these objectives as well, or whatever it is. At the end of that, you then unlock your baby choice or base icon. So say you've gone for, I'd go for Ronaldinho, for example. So you unlock his base version. Then you get another set of milestones. And this can only be done through the untradeable version. You can't buy the icon and do it for everybody. It's one icon you get the choice of at the beginning of the game, and then it becomes sort of a story mode. So then, you look at Ronaldinho's early years and what he did, and you do milestones based at that. So I don't know, score from outside the box, score X amount of free kicks, score X amount of goals, pass X amount of players with skill moves again, and then it goes on. And then after a couple of, when the mids drop, you then get the same again. So you get them, again, dependent on the player, it's a little bit more expensive, and you have to put the baby into the mid. And then once you've done that, you've unlocked the mid, then the mid gets a load of sections that it'll take you a couple of months to do until the primes drop, and then you put the mid into the prime and then prime into moment. So you're keeping that icon at a level all the time, and he's with you till the end of the game. That's one way I think they could do it, and then it keeps it with you, it keeps you grinding, it keeps you invested in that player, and you've got the chance, whatever icon you chose, you are building, at the end of the game you're going to get moments R9, moments Ronaldinho, moments Pele, or whoever you want, okay? And obviously you get packs and rewards to keep you going as well. That's one way I'd do it. The other way I'd do it is I'd get rid of every single version of the icon and make the moments that one game where they absolutely were unbeatable, unplayable, and that's what their stats are. So you only get the moments in, and they are mega rare to pack, but they are the best cards in the game in every position. They're absolutely unplayable. So it doesn't matter if it's Koeman or Campbell or R9 or whatever, whoever it is, in that one game they just absolutely beasted it. Same with Bergkamp's goal, some of Shearer's goals. So the skill moves will reflect to that game where it's and the pace that they had, and they're all up there. They're just absolutely unbeatable, but they are hard to pack. That's the other way to do it. So that's one thing I'd change with the icons, and not just give them out willy-nilly and not have 54 versions of them. The next thing I'd change in regards to players is storyline. Storyline players are useless. At the time you've got them, they're just done. They're no good, they're fodder, or they might do well for an objective. So what I think the storyline players as well, and this goes into your milestones and your objectives as well, is say I'm trying to think of some storyline players. I know we had a Lacazette at one point. I think we've had a Zaha at one point. So let's just say Zaha. Storylines. Play first season. You open your game and you play X amount of games. You do your season XP and you get Zaha. 84 rated Zaha or whatever he is at the time. that player should then come with milestones, and that should be his storyline. So in his first season, he scored 13 goals, he got 15 assists, he scored a 3 free kicks or whatever, and did this. So it should give you a set of milestones for that player as well, which again unlocks players, and it might only be a 75 rated player or a player pick or a gold pack or whatever. But at the end of that, with each set of milestones you complete, that card upgrades. So it might be shooting, his passing or whatever. So it's like a live card throughout the game, and it'll cap. So after, you can't just get him up to 99 rated at the end of the first month, but as the months go on, his stats should uncap again. So through the game, the storyline player, he upgrades. So you might have an 83 rated storyline player on day one of the game, or by the time you've unlocked him, but at the end of the game you could have unlocked all these different, and yes, only release different ones each month, but then you've got all these players with all these milestones that you've got something to play for them, and these objectives should be done in any game mode. And I think that's the same with a lot of things, which we'll touch on in a bit as well. So change storyline players, give them something where again they uncap every so often, and they've got a storyline. It's their career that they've built up from this entry-level youth, and then they've built up to what they are today. And at the end of the game, you'd have a 95 rated player now, and by the game's finished, you get him up to 99 or whatever. So you've got something to invest in again and play with, and it's another way to generate fodder for you in your packs and stuff. Ones to watch players are another thing. I don't think they should be in the game now, or if they do, along with team of the week players, they're two things that need changing, because again they're mostly redundant. I mean, I've used the odd team of the week player, but again they're just fodder most of the time. They're not good enough. They don't keep with the curve of the game. But it's hard because if you have some Division 3 English player scores a hat trick, and he's 74 rated in game, he's not going to jump to 96 rated. So I think they need to either get rid of Team of the Week completely, or look at rebalance it. With ones to watch cards, I would do milestones for them. Again, the same as I mentioned with the icons and other storyline players, I would have a live upgrade system, not based on Team of the Week. So they come in and have them live where they can go up or down. So if you get somebody like Lukaku, for example, who come in, but he's been a stinker, his rating comes down, but then as he picks up again, it goes back up again. So you've got these sort of wild cards, if you like, but they're constantly changing based on match ratings each week. So one week you might have an absolute steamer, but then the next week he's an absolute stinker and he's dropped and he's unplayable again, in the bad way. And just have it live like that, so it keeps them interested, and then also it keeps the market interesting with them as well. So you might pick up a banger, you take a gamble on it, but then somebody like Werner, who's done nothing really, is an absolute stinker and he comes down. But then you might pick, but then all of a sudden he goes on an international run, because it should go on all games, and then he picks up again and he's off. So that's ones to watch. Now promos is another issue. We'll stick with cards, if it means. Again, I remember when this come out, there weren't nothing really. I think you got team at week, and then it was sort of team at year and team at season, and that were about it. Now there's a promo every week. Some lasts 3-4, and we've just got all these cards. And this is in line with, I mean, look now. I mean, there's just how many 98 rated players there is, 99s, 97s. We've just got cards everywhere. Now I know they cheat, and some of them you'll never use. I've had some really good players that are so hard to link. I know they're changing chemistry next season, but I don't know whether they need to tone down players or what. But some of them, it's like the shapeshifters. I mean, you look at my squad, I've got some. I mean, some people, they just pull a Ronaldo every week, and I mean, that mine's all an untradeable squad. It's not the best. I like it. These are all players that I enjoy in real life. I'll always find a way to get a Royce in my team as soon as he lands. I do want to get Grealish in, but I'm not sure whether to play him as a centre mid and have Grealish as a Camel as a striker and swap him with El Shaarawy. But I've got these players, and it's so hard to link some of them, but you want them in your team. But I know that's been addressed sort of, but there's just so many of them and so many promos. But it's the minute now, it's like everybody else, your club's dry, so there needs to be, and I think that's what goes in with these milestones that I mentioned. If you've got something to continuously play for all year round in all these modes of games, and it doesn't matter what mode you're playing, but if it's on squad battles, you can't do it on beginner. It's not score 500 goals on beginner. You have to do it on, say, semi-pro minimum or professional or something to give it a little bit of a challenge. But it can be done in rivals. It can be, live friendlies and things like that. So, it gives a little bit of challenge. And it keeps something going for. Now, that's one thing I'm going to touch on next. So we've touched on players, and I could go into players for a long time and cards, but they're the major things that I think needs changing. As I say, I could go in more in depth, especially with your icons and things, but, here we are. With your milestones and objectives, I think everybody should be given a fair shot. Now, one thing that I do believe should be getting rid of at the minute is we have not timed objective, but like number limited modes. So when you're doing something like like these not foot friendlies. Summer swaps here, so I've done the offline ones. So win 4 matches. Now that's not a lot to win 4 matches. However, you've only got 5 a day, so to start within the game, it's quite hard. And if you're playing with a stinky team and you come across with somebody a better team or better skilled than you, you're gonna have a bad time, and you've only got them 5 games. Even though and it takes you all the 5-10 minutes to get that first goal for all the games, then you're done with. But more so in the one that we went through earlier, this one, there's some good rewards in here, but it's so hard to get in, and to win 26 games, that's going to be unobtainable for a lot of people because they can't, and not everybody should get all these wins, you know what I mean? But, and that's the idea of competition, because it's just a hard balance, so I get it, that not everybody should have access to every player card, but they should have a fair chance. But I suppose that's where skill-based matchmaking comes into things, and having limited squads and things like that, because you're going to get all these elites and pros that smash through this, and if you're just a casual, you ain't going to get it. And when you've only got 4 or 5 games a day, it can be a miserable experience for you. So I don't think they need to get rid of it completely, but they need to consider and balance against it, and at least get the skill-based matchmaking right. They've done bits to it with relegation, this year and things like that, but I think that needs balancing. But I think objectives should be open to everyone. So when we went into the other milestones, where was it? This one. It's not difficult to get the wins. I've done it on the other ones, but why not just have it for somebody who doesn't enjoy playing online? Let them get access to these. Have it in, if it's 4 matches in squad battles, then put it up to, if they only play squad battles, put it up to 6 matches in squad battles for them. I think objectives should be able to mostly be done in any mode to keep everybody coming back. Okay, so that's the next thing we changed. Now, one thing while we're touching on squad battles, there's 2 things that squad battles need to change. Firstly is the cheating AI. I don't need adaptive difficulty. If there is a team that's got a striker in the net and two goalkeepers up front, and the bronze players with 36 pace, and I've got a team full of 99 pace, then so be it. Yes, let them play a little bit better, but somebody with 36 shooting shouldn't be scoring 40 yards. Now I know when you put it on world class and above it just puts all the stats up anyway. It's only the chemistry that gets factored, which I think needs looking at as well. And then there'll be players where they just drop back, and they're faster than your players. And I know they've done it. I used to know somebody who worked on the NHL games, and he told me how it worked. And I've even seen interviews with AI Direct and how it works with the adaptive difficulty and things. I don't need it. If I'm schooling a team 10-0, I'm schooling a team 10-0. I don't need you. If I'm struggling against a team, then let me struggle and get better. I don't need you to cheat and change things in game and all sort of make it that I can't score a goal. I don't know if it's like sort of a placebo effect as well, where you might need to score a goal outside the box with a Brazilian, where it becomes absolutely impossible to score all of a sudden, where you've been doing it every game before. So that needs changing. Squad battles also needs taking down to 4 minutes. There is no need for 6-minute halves in squad battles. It is painful now. I know that they say, well, if you don't like it, don't play it and stuff, but it is long. 4-minute halves should be it. And I believe at half time, if you are leading the game by 5-0, there should be an option for you can either if you enjoy it, you can continue to play. However, there should be a win, and it might take your points down a little bit in the squad battle standing, but if you're 5-0 up at half time, it should be the opponent concedes. Or you've got that option at least. You can either continue, or the opponent concedes and you take a slight hit on your points calculation overall. So that's the things with squad battles. What else needs to change? I think one of the other things that needs to change is when the game come out. Like when this game come out this year, I believe there was a skill gap in it. For the first time in ages, the game had slowed down. You needed to defend. If you couldn't defend, you were in trouble. The keepers were good, so you needed to build up play and score. But it weren't just all about cutting down the line, cutting back, and bombing a goal in. If EA want a game that way, then leave the game that way. Don't cater to the whingers and the moaners. Things change. Now, I don't want them to go full simulation route, because we did that in sort of FIFA 07 and that way, and everybody went to Pro Evo for a couple of years because it went full sim. And it weren't until it went a bit more arcadey that people come back again. But I think there needs to be a skill gap, and then that again balances where everybody is. If you can't defend, you better learn to defend, or you're going to stay where you are. If you can't score, build up play, then you're going to need to learn things like that. So I do think that needs to change, or not change, as it were. Like, don't just make it into a pace meta. That's all it is. Like, at the beginning of the game, at first it didn't matter because you had defensive awareness on defenders and people tracking back, so it stopped the through ball. But then it were only a couple of weeks, and then that were it. Every player was it was just the fastest pace on the ball, and then just knocking it forward, and then that's how it gets. And then every player gets 99 pace anyway, so it becomes irrelevant. And then it goes into more skill and weak foot and things and body types. But again, it's hard to balance with all the stats. So we've touched on icons, we've touched on promos, we've touched squad battles, storyline players, wants to watch players. I think we're almost there. I mean, I heard again another one thing that we're bitching about was the market and how players are unobtainable. That's nothing to do with EA. Like, that's down to players. It's like I've been doing the bronze pipe method to get a few coins together. I've been selling some players at 6,000-7,000 coins, and then somebody will undercut you by and sell it for 3,000 coins, and then somebody will undercut them. So your players lose value. That's one thing. But then the most desirable players, your Zillioners, your Ronaldos, everybody wants them cards, and because they are rare, people either want the coins or they want the player. That's nothing to do with. Not everybody should have a team of 99 rated players. If you want to trade, you can trade quite easily up. If you kept, sold every player every week that you got from every reward, or you kept every player and did every SBC, you will get them players eventually. Not everybody should have 99 Messi on day one. I don't believe that at all. And the market has been lower than ever this year. The supply has been greater than ever this year. The player picks and all these things, like I think that's just picking just picking up faults for the sake of it there. So the market's fine. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. Either the players are going to be 30 million or they're going to be 10 million, but everything else will counter it anyway. They do need to look at getting more fodder into your squads, especially low rated. But obviously, I mean, you've got to look at it at the end of the day as well. Is EA's a company and they want money. So if you're buying packs, they give us enough. They do give us a hell of a lot with rewards and grindable objectives, but people will still spend money. So I think we've got to find a balance with that. But overall, that's what I'd change. Now, I can't comment on all the other modes and stuff like that. I do think they need to bring back, or they should bring back as well. I mean, at the end of the game, it doesn't matter whether you're playing friendlies, rivals, champs, squad battles, whatever. The game is still a game of football. The game is meant to be played, and there are a lot of entitled people, like I say, looking in squad battles for putting your controller down and stuff like that, or AFK, and once you've done your objectives. People are so obsessed with the rewards that they forgot about the game, and that must be a pain. If you're just forcing yourself to do something just to get a pack, but then you moan about it, I mean, that's a sad way of looking at things. But you do you, that's fine, but play for enjoyment, that's the first thing. So play for enjoyment and then enjoy the reward. Don't chase the reward and have no enjoyment. That's just a pointless exercise. But overall, I think that's it. I mean, football's football at the end of the day. Gaming's gaming. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. You can't please everybody, especially a game that millions play. It's hard to find that balance. There's things that you're never going to change. You're never going to make everybody happy. But I do think there are some things that do need to be changed for the better, especially with the AI, things along those lines. But overall, is it the worst FIFA ever? Definitely not. Is it the best FIFA ever? Definitely not. But I think we've had too much of a good thing, especially in terms of promos and cards. And now it's like you've had your cake and eating it. So I think it's now trying to balance it, still give out rewards, but make rewards feel special again, rather than just, oh, he's a 96 rated player, I don't care. Icons, I don't care anymore. Make them feel special. I mean, I like the idea of heroes. I think some of the icons need to be changed to heroes, and things like that. I've shift around, and there's some players that I'm missing that need to be icons. But overall, I think I've had my say. So what do you guys think? Is there anything I've missed? As I say, I'd like to be more active again. I'd like to get the channel growing. I have been a bit, like I said, I've had a lot going on this year, so I've not been able to do as much as I like. I've had some private things going on, but hopefully soon they come to an end. And then, like I said, the more you guys watch my videos, the more thumbs up you give, the more likes, the more comments, the more you let me know what you want to see down below, then the more content I can bring you. But that's me, guys. I've waffled enough. I need a drink, I need food, I need a vape. So as always, guys, enjoy the weather, don't get burnt, stay safe, and like we say, until the next one, peace and love, guys, and yeah, we'll catch you soon.